I had to have a pen in my hand. And it reminded me that the reason I started, if you watch me give a presentation this day, okay, I'll have my hand, my forearm on the table, okay, and I'll point with a pen. Okay, like the success system, I was going through that with them. Okay, and I'll point this way. Well, that's just a habit that I created 28 years ago, 29 years ago, because if I raise my forearm up to point like most people point, I'd shake so much that it'd make me even more nervous and less confident. So I developed this habit where I put my hand on, my forearm on so I could rest it there so it wouldn't shake, and I'd just do this. Back when Art was here, okay, he used to wear coaching shorts and a t-shirt, for most everything. Back then I wore a suit and tie. Okay, a sports coat and tie. Not because I was trying to be more impressive than everybody else. It's just I used to perspire so much on my appointments that, literally, and without grossing everybody out, it'd be sopping wet. And it could be the middle of the winter. My first phone call I made, I hung up on the person because I ran through the sentences, ran through the periods, right? When you get nervous, you kind of talk fast and so on. Well, in our English language, there's periods there. That's where you pause. You take a breath, and then you go to the next one. If you don't pause, then you don't take a breath, and you pass out. Literally, I got to the point where I didn't know what to do. I know it sounds weird, but if you've ever been in front of a group or nervous or whatever, you don't, and so I hung up on the person, never called him back again. I used to drive around the block just to get enough courage to pull into the driveway. And I'm not talking about my first appointment or the first month. I'm talking about for years. They don't pay me what they pay me because of my talent. They pay me because I kept doing it when most people would stop. And you all know that because you all have been through those same exact things. The only reason I tell you that is so you know that there's no handout. There's no, somebody gets to skip steps 1, 2, and 3. We all go through the same exact thing, and that's going to be important for you because we'll talk about what steps you have to take from here going forward. And it's very easy to come up with some reason why you can't do that. Why somebody else maybe had it easier, or somebody else, because of the way they're wired, they're going to... No. That's bull. You're killing yourself. There's not a single step that you need to take that you can't take. This is a tenacity business. This isn't a talent business. I promise you. Most of you have way more talent than I do. Especially, doing the day-to-day stuff. I will tell you this. I average 1 recruit per 11 guests my whole career. I don't know of any of you that have that. I went back 3 years ago and started another base shop. We promoted a couple of VPs from that new base shop and so on. Okay, and I thought because the company, was this behemoth, because we're big and because we're well known, because I was so much better. Okay, I have to change. It was still 1 out of 11. It might even be 1 out of 12. I might be counting myself and saying it's 1 out of 11. I just get more groups of 11 instead of trying to make it 1 out of 8. So, if nothing else, I want you all to understand that you have what it takes to go to the next level. Now, you're going to have to change to go to the next level. You're going to have to grow. I'm not suggesting you that. But you have the capacity. If you're sitting in this room, you have the capacity. You've done the things you need to do to take it to whatever level you want to take it. Okay? So, what I want to do is, I just want to show this thing. Because I always like to start with the motivation to do it. Okay? And I'm not going to talk to you about making $1 million a year. If you want to make $1 million a year, there's plenty of folks you can, pick my brain somewhere and so on. Okay? But every time when I was making 200 grand or 50 grand or whatever, they start taking talking about $1 million a year, my eyes, I mean, I just glazed over. I believe I could make $1 million a year when I hit 750. Tells you what a visionary I am. 3/4 of the way through the trip. Oh yeah, I think I can make it. Okay? So I just took our current comp, and my premise is that there's no place anywhere in this world where an average person can go and create income, create wealth, and create quality of life like Primary. Okay? Okay, well, I'll try to compete with this. And this is the weird stuff I always used to do. I mean, I always used to evaluate my deal compared to everybody else's all the time. I was reselling myself all the time. Now, the higher your income goes, you know, it makes it a little bit quicker and easier and faster process, okay? But I was always, especially when I was wanting to quit, which is about every day, I was always looking at everything else out there almost like, maybe that's a better deal. But every time, the deeper I went into it, the more I realized they couldn't touch this thing. Okay, for those 3 areas. Now, if you don't care about those 3 areas, then maybe there's something different out there. But if your goal is to have massive income, massive wealth, and great quality of life, there's nothing that comes anywhere close to this. Now, trust me, I mean, we travel a lot, and the places we travel, you got to make money to be there. So I meet lots and lots of people that are successful in lots and lots of different things, and none of them have those 3 things like we have. Now, if you've already got $1 billion, there's probably other places you can go to make another $1 billion. But if you're average people out there, there's nothing that compares to Primary in those 3 areas. Okay. So, and once I get this up, I'll go through that in more detail. So to give you kind of a mental thought, and not so much for you all, but maybe for your people that you talk to, they can go into sales and make good money if they're good. Like you could do real estate sales, there's lots of ways if you're a go-getter to make $100 grand a year in North America in sales. But obviously, I don't have what? I don't have any freedom, do I? So if I'm not selling, I'm not making that money. And if I'm an employee somewhere and selling, not only do I not have freedom, that thing could be pulled out from me. I don't have any security. Now, I could go into business for myself somewhere and make good income. Maybe even create wealth. But you don't need business owners. Okay. Oh, wow. Good. We got it. So, for a lot of you that I know, perfect. You've had good income. I'm talking about wealth. For those of you that are kind of coming up through this thing, you can get completely stone wealthy in the next 5 years. Like nobody ever in your family, etc. So let me just review this before I talk about the rest, okay? So, obviously if we promote or we get a licensed rep, we make $250 gross, and everything's gross here. Everybody's UBI is different, so I just figured it'd be easier to talk about gross. You get $250 worth of Primerica stock. Get a new district, you get 1,000. New regional leader, 5,000. Promote a VP, $15,000 in Primerica stock. Now, this example I'm going to show you is an office or a VP doing, like, I don't know, 12 to 15 life sales, maybe 10 security sales, etc. Now, am in the business of finding lots of average people and getting them to play every day. I like superstars. Okay, excuse me. Obviously, I like all superstars. Okay, I'm going to change my verbiage here. But I mean, I like the one in a million that just goes off and kills it and so on. I just find that very hard to build a business that way. What I want is the masses doing stuff every day. So I'd much rather have, instead of having a VP go have a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 base shop or the #1 base shop in the country or so, I'd rather have 5 or 10 just average VPs making $150,000 a year. Okay? Yeah, it's kind of just the way, probably because that's the way I was. So if I get 2 licenses a month, does anybody feel like you couldn't get 2 licenses a month? I think we're, if I'm reading from the Stafford playbook, okay, recruiting is the primary focus, which means I got to at least double digit. If I'm double digiting, that's only 20% licensing. Okay? I think everybody in this room, where you're currently at, could do this if you decide to, focus on it. Okay? If you get 28 licenses a year to a month, you're going to get about 1 district a month. Okay, especially with all the stuff we got going on, the bonuses, etc. You're probably going to get 3 regional promotions a year and 1 VP a year. Now, if you're just starting to crank that up, you might not have the VP in the next 12 months, but you're going to have one, pretty quickly, and you'll create a cycle where it happens automatically. Anybody looked at my base? Yeah, you can't find it because it's so far down. Okay? But even as gnarly as my base is, we'll promote a VP a year. So that's $50,000 in PRI stock. A year. Do that for 5 years, it's $250,000 in PRI. Once again, it's gross, but it's $250,000 in PRI stock. I have okay, I'm not suggesting any of you, I'm not telling you to go buy PRI stock, I'm not making it, okay? It's a gift. If it doubles, that's $500,000 in PRI stock. If it triples, that's $750,000 in PRI stock. We're doing what you're doing anyways. So let me just run through examples, okay? If I got a base shop that's recruiting 15 a month by 10,000, obviously we're doing probably 12 or 13 lifelines, 12 mutual funds, index annuity, which is that somebody did an index annuity, made like $4,100 or something like that. That was a product we didn't even have a year ago. Yeah, don't even need to have a securities license. Okay? 12 PLPDP, 6 auto and home. I didn't put debt watchers on there, and so on. Okay? That's 80. Okay, is there anybody that feels like you couldn't do that? 10,000. Some of you are saying, it's low examples. Right? There's nobody that could. There's not a single person in this room that couldn't do that. That's why I put it up there to start. Okay? That's $100,000 a year. That's stupid that we pay $100,000 a year for that. When I started with the company, you needed 50 new life clients a month in your base shop to make $100,000. 50. We're talking about 12 to 13 life clients and a few ancillary stuff to go with it. By the way, if the new debt, just had to throw this in, the new debt product, okay, that 8,300 for basically the same thing is going to go to 12,500. Okay? And rumor has it there's a few folks in the cities you live in that have debt. So I said, let's say that you were going to run that kind of a business for 10 years. You were never going to grow. Okay? $150,000 a year assumes no growth, no new products, no wall of wealth. This wall of wealth thing we've been talking about for 100 years. Okay? It's here. It's happening. If you're in the securities business, you know what's happening. We're getting $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, $800,000, all over our team all the time. So-and-so passed away, or so-and-so's retiring, or so-and-so, etc. With the safe harbor, everybody knows safe harbor? Okay, with the safe harbor, that's like taking candy from a baby.